Hi, and welcome to Minister Miller's Musings. Before I start, I would just like to say Happy New Year to everyone. And the story today I'm going to tell took place many, many years ago when I was teaching a class in Boulder City before I was a minister. In this one particular evening, one of the people that came to the class every week wanted me to follow them home and have a cup of tea and just chat for a little bit. So I agreed, and I was following her to her home, and somehow she got ahead of me, and I made a turn and my tire blew. And I pulled over as soon as I could and waited to see if she was going to come back and check on me. I didn't have a cell phone in those days, so I just sat there and waited maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then I decided, well, she's not going to come back. And I locked up my car and was going to walk to find a phone booth. It was probably around maybe 9:30 by that point. So I started walking. When I got to the home where I made the turn and I heard my tire blow, I looked up in their yard and there was lying my hubcap. And so I walked up in the yard, picked it up, and was going to walk back to my car and put it in the trunk. Well, this little voice inside my head, my gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, said, no, carry the hubcap. So I followed that gut feeling and carried the hubcap, as silly as it seemed at the time. So I walked another half hour, maybe 40 minutes. I only passed a few people during that time. It was kind of a nice evening in September, so people were still out walking around when I first started walking anyway. So about that time I was thinking I should turn down one of these streets. So I started asking myself, should I turn down this street? Finally the third street, I was like, I hear in my head, yeah, turn down this street. So I'm walking down this street with the hubcap, and I hear a car approaching slowly. So at that moment, I'm like, well, I hope this is going to be a safe situation. And I silently did a prayer to myself and asked God to give me a sign that I would be okay. So a few seconds later, I hear the electronic window go down in this person's car, and they come to a stop and they say, I see you're carrying a hubcap. Does that mean you broke down? Well, that's all I needed. That was my sign, because he mentioned a hubcap. So I walked over to the window and said, yeah, I broke down, told him I had my tire blew, and explained the situation, that I was teaching a class out there, following one of the people home to have tea with them. And he offered to give me a ride to a phone booth. Well, the other thing about getting in his car, as soon as I got in, I see groceries all in the back of the car. So jokingly to myself, I thought, wow, if something else happens here, maybe he'll feed me. So, I was just thinking that would be funny. But anyhow, he gives me a ride to the phone booth, gives me the coin I needed, even though I told him I didn't need it. He insisted. And I called the girl that I was following. And she wasn't home, because little did I know, her and her husband decided to go out looking for me. He insisted that she do that. And then when she didn't answer, I made a call to another person that I knew they lived nearby. And they didn't answer either, but I decided I was close enough I could walk to their house, because I knew I'd kind of remember how to get there. So I walked to their house, and they answered the door when they saw it was me, and laughed hysterically when they opened the door, because little did I know I had grease all over my face from the hubcap, and they told me I looked like Linus, and thought that was very funny. So seconds later, the girl and her husband showed up. They took me to their house. I spent the night there, and then the next morning her husband helped me get the tire fixed. Well, the whole meaning behind me telling you the story is, if you listen to those small voices, no matter how silly the instructions might be, when you hear those things, just to do them and to trust God that everything will turn out perfectly if you just follow your little gut feelings. So again, thank you for letting me share. and Happy New Year.